Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. We are approaching the final left uphill turn that leads us to the final 3K for our finishing sprint. We started with a group of 15 and we're down to about 11 or 12 right now. We are biding our time, recovering a bit, and waiting for the cars to pass before we can make that left turn. I'm going to park myself behind the glass man so I can be toward the front and have the greatest chance of surviving this climb. Once we make the turn, I am then looking at the glass man to see if he's going to go fast enough so no one will want to come around him. Looking like he may want to pull off, I go up next to him just in case he does so I can take up the pace, and all of a sudden the Colonel just screams by me. I pick up the wattage in an effort to try and catch him. And it's a long enough catch. This is starting to cost me energy, and I've used a lot of energy up in this ride so far. I get up to his wheel, and now I'm just concentrating on hanging on. I am now having to maintain in the 300 and 400 watt range just to be able to stay on his wheel. This is taking so much energy for me to maintain at this point that even my arms are starting to hurt. All I need to do is get to the top. I'm also worrying about one of the stronger riders in back of me jumping away. If that happens, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to hang on. As we near the top and the grade is easing, the Colonel is still maintaining 20 miles an hour. The power required for me to stay on his wheel is starting to decrease. I'm starting to recover. Soon the Colonel will be pulling off and I'll have to take over lead-out duties. I have a lot of strong sprinters behind me biting at the bit. As I'm sitting on his wheel recovering, the oxygen is starting to come back into my brain. I look up and notice that the Colonel had a little bit of trouble dressing himself this morning. But I digress. I feel that the Colonel is going to be finishing his pull soon. When he finally does, I'm going to shoot through and increase the speed and maintain it for as long as I can. What actually happens is this. There is not any situation that you can't make worse with panicking. Participating in skills clinics, working with teammates on bumping, working on balancing are just some of the ways that will help alleviate panic in these type of situations. Right after the glass man attacked and got a good gap, the bomber jumped on his wheel. The Colonel took up the chase and I was right on the Colonel's wheel. The Colonel makes the connection and it all looks like we're going to get a free ride. Then all of a sudden, the glass man just explodes and shoots it up to 30 miles an hour. And now there's a big gap to me, about 3 bike lengths. I'm now having to go over 31 miles an hour at over 500 watts to try and catch up. The glass man is putting everything he has into his lead out for the bomber. I cut the distance down as my teammates in back of me are yelling colorful metaphors. Eventually my legs give out, but my teammates are able to make the connection. Remember, the moral of the story is practice and don't panic. As always, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.